flip book. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Question 18. Question 18 reads, the slope of the tangent to the curve y equals x to the power 4 minus 1 at the point P is 3, 2. It wants to find the coordinates of P. So, what we got to remember is to find the slope of a curve, we need to get the y dx. And then once we get to y dx, we insert with the x value, okay? So, this is, the slope is 32. This means the y dx equals 32. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get up here, and what we know, the first piece of information is the y dx equals 32. So if y equals x to the power 4 minus 1, this means that the y dx is 4x cubed. 4x cubed must equal 32. This means the x cubed equals 8. Therefore x is equal to the cube root of 8, which means x equals 2. Now, there's only one point. It specifically says a point P if you look at the question, okay? So it's asking us to find the coordinates of P. We now know that the x value equals 2, therefore we need to find the y value. So the y value when x equals 2 is 2 to the power 4 minus 1. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. 16 minus 1 is 15. The answer to this question is 2, 15. And that's your question done. Okay, so the next question we have is number 21. And number 21 is basically the curve y equals p plus qx over x and x plus 2. PQ is element R. This means that PQ can be any number. It can be minus a fraction or plus a fraction. It tells us specifically x can't be 0. This means the denominator cannot be 0. X can't be minus 2 because the denominator, if x is minus 2, the denominator would end up being 0 as well. It has a 0 slope at the point 1 minus 2. This means the y dx equals 0 when x equals 1. That's what we need to do, okay? So the y dx equals 0 when x equals 1. Okay. So we're going to write down the y dx equals 0 when x equals 1. Okay. So we're going to write down y. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply out the denominator before I begin, just to make it hopefully a bit easier to differentiate. Now, what we very much have here is a quotient drill. And the quotient drill, we're just going to get our... So the first piece of information we want to do is we want to differentiate this, okay? So this one here is going to be u, and this one here is going to be v. So u is equal to p plus qx, okay? This means that the u dx ends up to be, when you differentiate any number, and we've been told that p is an element of R, it disappears. So the answer for the u dx is q. Now, v is equal to x squared plus 2x. Differentiate v to get the v dx, and we know that this is 2x plus 2. Now, we're going to put it all together to get the y dx. So, the y dx is phi times the u dx, which is x squared plus 2x times q, minus u times, which is p plus qx, times the v dx, which is 2x plus 2. Now, as you can see, it's quite a complicated equation, okay? And then on the bottom, we're going to have x squared plus 2x to be squared. Now, it's very important, the mistake that's going to be made here is the minus. So put it inside brackets, and then multiply everything in the green bracket by minus 1. To make sure, not minus I, minus 1, to make sure that you get the right answer when you multiply it out. So what's going to happen here is we're going to get qx squared plus 2qx, and when we multiply this out, we're going to get minus 1 brackets, and we're just going to multiply it directly out. that's 2px. And then p multiplied by plus 2 is plus 2p. And then qx multiplied by 2 is 2qx squared. And then what we know then is 2qx multiplied by 2 is plus 2qx. Okay? And all of this divided by x squared plus 2x squared. Now, what we've been told is that when we replace x with 1, when we replace x equals 1 into this equation, the answer for dy dx makes all of this turn into 0. Okay? So what we got to do next is we got to just basically fill all x's with 1s. Okay? So what's going to happen here is this is just going to turn into q. This is going to turn into 2q. This is going to be minus 1 times 2p plus 2p plus 2q plus 2q. All of this equals 0. And then we can divide by 1 squared plus 2 is 3 divided by 3 squared. Now, the 3 squared doesn't matter in this question because any number divided by another number, when that equals 0, it means the numerator, which is the number above the line, is 0, not the denominator. So the denominator in this question is irrelevant. Okay? So with this in mind, what we can do now is we can now tidy up the question. Okay? So we're going to multiply everything by minus inside the bracket. So we're just going to come in here with a black pen and we're going to change the sign. That's going to become a minus. This one here is going to become a minus. This will be a minus. And this one will be a minus. Okay? So what we're going to have is 3q minus 4p minus 4q equals 0. And what that's going to leave me with is minus 1q minus 4p equals 0. Now, most people at this stage will be thinking, wait a minute, I can't find out what p and q actually are because I only have one equation and two variables. So now we have to think about how are we going to actually get the other equation. We need another equation to work this off, okay? So if you go back and reread the question, what you're going to notice at the start is that we also know that y equals minus 2 when x equals 1. Okay? So what we can do now is we can hop back into the equation, and I'm just going to highlight this one here, make a quick copy, and then we'll go down and we'll start working off this. Okay, so what we do know is that, okay, now since we're not differentiating this time, we've gotten all the information from the differentiation. So the point is 1 minus 2. Okay, so this point being 1 minus 2 basically means that x equals 1 when y equals minus 2. So it's quite easy. Replace y with minus 2. Replace x with 1. So we're going to get p plus q, all divided by 1 squared plus 2 is going to be 3. Now we know that p plus q equals minus, and we also know that minus 4p minus 1q equals 0. Therefore, minus 3p equals minus 6. It's a simultaneous equation. P therefore is minus 6 divided by minus 3. P equals 2. And if p equals 2, 2 plus q equals minus 6. This must mean q equals minus 8. And there are your values of p and q. Okay. And that was